Hello viewers, and welcome to episode 41 of F1 Talk. In this edition I'll be going over the talking points, race results and of course the updated championship standings after the Japanese Grand Prix that took place yesterday at Suzuka. To begin with, before I get on with what happened in yesterday's race, about 10 minutes after I posted my preview of the actual Grand Prix, there was some big news regarding the future of Michael Schumacher. He has announced his retirement from Formula 1, effective as soon as he finishes his race in Brazil at the end of the season. Mercedes were keen to retain the 7-time world champion in an advisory role, but their newest acquisition, Lewis Hamilton, is opposed to the idea. So Schumacher is to retire at the end of the season, this time once and for all after 20 years in Formula 1. So on to qualifying now, and two drivers had grid penalties. Michael Schumacher had a 10-place drop due to his crash with Jean-Eric Vergne in Singapore. The other was Jenson Button, who actually qualified in third but was demoted to 8th after a gearbox change. We now move on to the race, and at the start Sebastian Vettel started well. It was a good thing too, because there was chaos in the background as Kimi Raikkonen put a wheel on the grass, losing control slightly, hitting championship leader Fernando Alonso, taking the Ferrari out of the race. This wasn't all, as a few places back Romain Grosjean had yet another first corner incident, this time misjudging the drivers around him, and Red Bull's Mark Webber was the unlucky victim. However, he wasn't the only driver to suffer as a result of Grosjean's actions. Nico Rosberg was unable to avoid one of the Toro Rossos, which in itself was trying to avoid the Webber hit-assisted spin. Bruno Senna hit Rosberg from behind, so both Rosberg and Alonso were out on the first corner thanks to the pair of Lotus drivers. Grosjean served a 10-second stop-go penalty, and Bruno Senna of Williams served a drive-through penalty later on in the race. This incident prompted the safety car to make an appearance while the marshals cleared up the mess from the first corner mayhem. When the safety car went back in, Sauber's Kamui Kobayashi, who was in second place at the time, was caught off guard, and by the time he had crossed the finish line to start the next lap, Vettel was already 1.3 seconds ahead of the hometown hero. The DRS, drag reduction system, flappy rear wing, whatever you want to call it, wasn't really in effect here, as the activation zone was down the start-finish straight, which is considerably shorter than the quick curve/straight in Sector 3 leading to 130R, which is the final full throttle corner going into the chicane. This is where the DRS zone should be, and hopefully this will be reviewed going into next year's Japanese Grand Prix. This influenced several drivers to try passing manoeuvres where space and the moves weren't really on. For instance, on lap 19, Sergio Perez was on the gearbox of Lewis Hamilton's McLaren, and the Sauber driver was caught out when Hamilton broke early. This caused Perez to go round the outside, and the Mexican lost control and spun out of the race. However, later on his teammate Kobayashi attempted to move in the same corner, and it paid off, his local knowledge shining through. Vitaly Petrov became the third driver to receive a penalty during the race, for this time ignoring blue flags, perhaps a little frustration seeping in, as both he and Caterham must have believed that they were going to be fighting for the low end of the points this season, where in reality they're stuck exactly where they've been for the last two seasons since they entered Formula 1. That being said, I heard in commentary they have fallen to 11th in the constructors' standings due to inspired driving from the two Marussia drivers Charles Pic and Timo Glock, so Caterham are actually falling behind rather than reaching their goals. Sebastian Vettel dominated the whole race weekend, took the win ahead of Ferrari's Felipe Massa, who put in a drive reminiscent of who he was back in 2008. To be honest, right when he needed it. Experts and the paddock see Felipe staying at Maranello for one more year, because this time next year Sebastian Vettel could be joining the Prancing Horses for 2014. Third place went to Sauber's Kamui Kobayashi, who managed his final set of tyres to perfection. He had a stormy Jenson Button chasing him down in the last few laps, but because of his lack of DRS track length and some brilliant curve strategy from Sauber, the McLaren was unable to find a way past. So, on to the race results. First, with quite frankly a brilliant dominant performance, Sebastian Vettel in the Red Bull. Second, Felipe Massa with quite frankly a brilliant race for his standards over the past couple of years. Kobayashi from Sauber in third, Jenson Button in fourth, Lewis Hamilton in fifth, Kimi Raikkonen sixth, Nico Hülkenberg in the Force India seventh, Pastor Maldonado picks up a couple of points in eighth, Mark Webber ninth after his first corner incident, and Daniel Ricciardo of Toro Rosso just held off Michael Schumacher for 10th and the final points paying position. The incident involving Alonso on the first corner has left him only 4 points ahead of Sebastian Vettel in the Drivers' Championship, Kimi Raikkonen third with 157. Lewis Hamilton fourth on 152. Mark Webber on 134. Jenson Button on 131. He's in sixth. Nico Rosberg with a DNF. He stays in seventh and on 93. Romain Grosjean on 82. Felipe Massa with a brilliant 18 points yesterday. He moves up to ninth. He's on 69. And Sergio Perez with a DNF yesterday. He's in 10th on 66 points. Now on to the constructors' standings. Red Bull, as you'd expect, with quite a good weekend. They qualified first and second on the grid. They're on 324. They lead. McLaren are second on 283. Ferrari third with 263. Lotus fourth on 239. Mercedes fifth on 136. They failed to score yesterday. Sauber with brilliant third place from Kobayashi. They move up to sixth. They were there anyway. They're on 116. Williams are Force India are seventh in the constructors. They're on 81. Williams on 58. They're falling behind. Toro Rosso with another point yesterday. They remain in ninth position in the constructors. They're on 15 points. The three newer teams yet to score, but Marussia are ahead of Caterham due to race results over the last few weeks. So what conclusions can we draw from this weekend's action? Well, Red Bull are well and truly back on form and seem to have the machinery and momentum, with Vettel winning 2 back-to-back races. Alonso has had 2 DNFs in the last month due to no fault of his own. This is now a 2-horse race for the title, and Vettel seems to be the favourite. McLaren and Lewis Hamilton's title challenges are all but over, but now they will take on a different purpose. They will now be wildcards in the hunt for the championship. A lot of emphasis will be down to the number 2 drivers of both Red Bull and Ferrari. Is Massa going to be able to help Alonso steal points from Vettel? And will Webber assist Vettel in the championship challenge once again? Only time will tell the answer to that question. One thing I'm personally hoping for is a DNF from Vettel to spice up the championship race, but with the next race at Yongham in Korea only a week's time, it's quickly becoming crunch time for the 2012 season. So thank you for watching this episode of F1 Talk, and I'll see you later on this week for more. See you then.